The EU's top court on Thursday gave Google a new headache. The European Court of Justice handed down a big decision on data privacy. It says the search giant must remove data from search results where users can prove that it is inaccurate. The case concerned two executives who wanted to remove results linking their names to critical articles. Google had refused, saying it couldn't be sure if the information in the pieces was really wrong. On Thursday, the ECJ said search engines must act where data is manifestly inaccurate. It said users shouldn't have to wait for a judicial decision to get wrong material dealt with. Back in 2014, the same court enshrined the so-called right to be forgotten, under which people could ask search engines to remove results linked to their name. Since then, Google says it has worked very hard to balance the right to information with the right to privacy.
The IMF says 2023 will feel like a recession. Trillions of dollars were spent during the pandemic on keeping businesses and households afloat. But as lockdowns ended, the global economy boomed. Factories couldn't keep pace. Lingering restrictions created labor shortages, and energy prices spiked. Then, Russia invaded Ukraine, sending fuel costs even higher. The International Monetary Fund is warning the worst is yet to come. For many people, 2023 will feel like a recession. Double-digit inflation hits people on low incomes the hardest. The squeeze on living costs is tightening as winter fuel bills soar. Striking workers want wages to keep pace with inflation, but they're often having to settle for less. The World Food Program estimates an extra 70 million people worldwide have been driven closer to starvation since the start of the Ukraine war, in what it calls a tsunami of hunger. Central banks have hiked interest rates to cool demand and tame inflation. The IMF predicts global inflation at 4.7% by the end of 2023, less than half its current level. The aim is for a soft landing without housing crashes, bankruptcies, or surging joblessness. But that best-case scenario has proven elusive in the past.
The S&P 500 closed higher on Thursday, snapping a 5-session losing streak. Wall Street's main indexes had come under pressure in recent days on expectations of a longer rate hike cycle and downbeat economic views from some top company executives. But Thursday, a rise in weekly jobless claims was interpreted by investors as a sign the Fed could soon slow the pace of interest rate hikes. The Dow closed up more than 0.5%, the S&P gained 0.75%, and the Nasdaq climbed more than 1.1%. Sylvia Jablonski, CEO and Chief Investment Officer of Defiance ETFs, expects stocks to be stuck in a tight trading range for now.
Here we are again with a little bit of, additional data showing us that there is weakness in the economy and perhaps inflation will come down for that reason. But I think overall markets are going to be directionless for some time. I think we'll have some pullbacks and then we'll have some pops off of those pullbacks, but they'll probably stay in trading range because we need to get past the next earnings season. So I do think that there's not, a whole lot to make of the day-to-day movements from here on in. I think it's going to be kind of a sleepy couple of months. We might get some rallies in between, but we have some time before we get to the point that the Fed just stops and that, we start seeing that earnings were resilient enough for us to sort of move on up and start trending upward.
Among Thursday's gainers, most mega-cap technology and growth stocks rose, such as Apple, Nvidia, and Amazon.com. The e-commerce giant made a bold move by announcing Thursday that it will roll out a TikTok-like feed on its app, hoping to attract new shoppers through a stream of photos and videos from their favorite influencers. Amazon had weeks ago warned of a slow holiday season amid decades-high inflation. In other tech news, Microsoft closed higher after the Federal Trade Commission filed a complaint aimed at blocking the tech giant's $69 billion bid to buy Activision Blizzard, maker of the popular Call of Duty games. And in pharmaceutical stocks, Moderna advanced after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration authorized COVID-19 shots from the vaccine maker that target both the original coronavirus and Omicron subvariants for use in children as young as 6 months of age. The FDA also approved similar guidance for fellow COVID vaccine maker Pfizer and its partner BioNTech, which both ended higher.
Hailing what he called a new era in ties with the Arab world, Chinese President Xi Jinping signed a series of strategic deals with Saudi Arabia on Thursday. The leader from China, the world's biggest energy consumer, received a lavish welcome from the oil-rich nation. Xi's car was escorted to the king's palace by members of the Saudi royal guard riding Arabian horses and carrying Chinese and Saudi flags. Xi also met with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. The two stepped into a pavilion as a military band played the country's national anthems. The display stood in stark contrast to the low-key welcome extended to U.S. President Joe Biden in July. Ties between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have been strained by the kingdom's energy policy and the 2018 murder of U.S.-based Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, which overshadowed the awkward July visit. On Thursday, King Salman signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement with Xi that, according to state media, included 34 deals for investment. One of the deals included Chinese tech giant Huawei, involving cloud computing and building high-tech complexes in Saudi cities. The agreement was struck despite U.S. security concerns over using the Chinese firm's technology amid Huawei's growing foray into the Gulf region. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states have said that they would not choose sides between global powers and were diversifying partners to serve national economic and security interests.
Germany's biggest post-war fraud scandal entered the courts Thursday. The trial of Wirecard's former chief executive Markus Braun began in Munich. Braun and two other high-ranking managers of the former blue-chip company face a number of charges. They're accused of fraud and market manipulation. If found guilty, they could be jailed for up to 15 years. Braun has previously denied wrongdoing and accused others of running a shadow operation without his knowledge at the payments company. And Leiding is from the Munich Public Prosecutor's Office.
All three defendants worked together to make Wirecard appear as an extremely successful fintech company, when in fact, at least according to the prosecution's investigation, there are actually only losses since 2015.
The trial comes 2 years after Wirecard collapsed and shocked the country's financial establishment. The company's downfall came after a fairy tale rise. Founded in 1999, Wirecard became a showpiece for a new type of German tech firm able to take on the giants. It was once worth $28 billion and displaced Commerzbank in Germany's DAX blue-chip index. The appearance of success finally fell apart in June 2020, when the firm was forced to admit 1.9 billion euros, or around $2 billion, was missing from its balance sheet. With it, Wirecard became the first ever DAX member to file for insolvency, owing creditors almost $4 billion. A verdict in the trial is not expected before 2024 at the earliest.